My first question for you is, what do you envision when you think of networking? Yeah.
Talking to people.
Talking to people, absolutely. That's a possibility.
Finding common ground.
Good, yep. Deanna?
Having a LinkedIn page and building your network.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Getting ideas.
getting ideas, good one, yep, absolutely.
Meeting new people.
Meeting new people, sure. Sure. Anything else?
Exchanging information.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, absolutely. Those are absolutely networking, and all happen in a lot of different scenarios. A lot of people think of networking, right, like this, where you're in a pretty bland room, right? Some invite was sent out, and to a whole bunch of people, they show up. You've got some people in sports coats and ties, like this gentleman here with his name tag. You've got some people in sneakers and sweatshirts there just for the food. Business cards are being handed out like candy there, and there's no pictures on the wall. And the question you get most often is, so what do you do? Right? Everyone asks that question. And this absolutely is a version of networking, right? My definition is going to be slightly different than this because it can include things like this. This is networking to me as well, along with a whole bunch of other situations, right? But Rochester winter is coming, right? So,
say that.
yeah, it is. Like it or not, it's gonna come. So helping out a neighbor plow their driveway is a form of networking, and we'll talk a little bit more about what that means and how that works as well. But networking can happen anywhere, anytime, and the effect of it is longer term, longer standing. So what you want to do, in short, is engage with that person, ask about them, get information, ideas about them, and start to create a connection, because networking as a whole is a long-term event. Now, I'm going to give you strategies for short-term, right? Because that's why we're all here, is we're in a situation where we need some shorter-term gains. But if you build your network and build out those relationships, you'll actually see benefits over time for when you actually need to call on your network as well. Okay? Networking, the one question that is fine to ask of what do you do, totally fine. I suggest asking a different question, right? So if somebody asks you that, they're asking, what do you do for work, right? What I suggest is dive into people's lives a little differently, right? So questions such as, what do you do for fun, right? Slight twist, but it engages the mind differently. Instead of thinking about work, now they're thinking about personal life or something they enjoy. That's a way to engage somebody. Asking about the next vacation they might be taking, right? Again, something fun. Get them focused on something that you can actually potentially engage with or have common ground on. Okay? Other opportunities, right, for networking can look like this. Out having a beer with friends. If you have a common interest group, knitting, that's networking. Going to festivals or local events. And then the one that I love, that a lot of people don't think about, is a simple text message. This is another version of networking. And so, with that, I'm happy with your phones on silent, but do not put them away, right? Keep them on the table. And if you think of somebody during this event or ever from now to eternity, if they pop into your head, there's a reason. If you're comfortable, text them. Just say, oh, I haven't thought about Dan in a while. Hey Dan, what's new? That right there is networking. And a lot of people don't think about that. Sending that simple text message to someone you know can actually start a conversation and generate something to a point where you didn't even think that they were working on, knew someone, whatever it might be. And we'll talk a little bit more about this as well. But if I see you with your phone, I'll just assume you're texting someone and they popped into your head, right? They probably are thinking about you too, or thought about you recently. I cannot tell you how many times I send a text message and they're like, oh man, I was just thinking about you, right? It's a weird universe, I totally believe in energy, right? Totally believe in energy, and it like if I'm thinking about somebody, they probably are thinking about me. So cool. So what? See, we texted someone, they're texting back. That's great. So networking misconceptions, right? We kind of covered a couple of them, but very explicitly. Only extroverts are good at networking. Not true, and I'll explain it. If you think or know you're an extrovert, or if you don't, we're going to find out if you are, but that's not true. Introverts are actually phenomenal at networking, and I'll explain how and why. I don't have any business cards. I don't care, right? You don't need business cards to network. Even if you're at an event or meeting someone and they're like, hey, do you have a card? No, I don't. Actually, can you just shoot me an email, or I'll shoot you an email, or text message, or however you want to connect? It's going to actually be better and less work. And again, I'll explain a little bit why. If you're not good in large crowds, you don't have to be. There's other ways to network besides going in that first picture we saw of being in big groups. And you haven't been networking, you need to find a group to get started. I guarantee you've been networking. You just might not think of it as such. All right, let's talk about a little bit of a different theory on networking. So everyone has a piggy bank. I referee soccer. Right, at all levels. I'm currently in college season, going to Syracuse on Thursday, like all that sort of stuff, right? 51% of people hate every decision I make. That's my life, okay? However, with that, right, we have this concept of a piggy bank, right? So we have to build up credibility so that when we make a mistake, right, that we can actually make a deposit out of that bank. So similar concept, only without the mistake part, similar concept comes with networking, right? You want to build up relationships and build up credibility, your credibility, by helping other people without a expectation of a return. Okay? I'm going to say that again because that's the important part and key to networking. You want to help other people, introduce them to people you know, right? Offer opportunities without an expectation of a return. That builds a network, right? That allows them to trust you, to build up your piggy bank. Then when it comes time that you might need something or do ask a favor, everyone in your network is going to say, absolutely. There's no question about being able to ask at that point, right? So it's building relationships for the long term is the key to this, right? Build up your credibility before asking for a withdrawal, okay? When you, mindset. So I talked about this a little bit in the beginning too, right? When you are giving, right? When you're actually offering opportunities and connecting people, it's going to be very tricky at first for a lot of people to have that mindset of not expecting something in return. That takes practice, and that's okay. It will come. You just have to remind yourself and be generous with yourself that you don't expect anything in return from people. If you guys have questions, I'm okay. Raise your hand. Don't be shy. All right, so how do we actually, what does networking look like? Everyone in here, I guarantee, has a network, and how does that look, right? So there's 4 circles to networking in my definition. You have an inner circle. Inner circle is anybody that you are directly connected with, talk to on a daily, weekly basis, that you are very close to and knows a lot of personal things about you, right? These are going to be people like your family, best friends, and can be defined by you, right? But these are the ones that really know you well, okay? Your next level is going to be, I call it a text phone level. So that's kind of what we were talking about. These are people that you know, see semi-regularly. Maybe they're in your hobbyist group. Maybe you go and grab beers with them every once in a while, or adult beverages, whatever you prefer. But these are people that you could send a text message to, and it's not going to be out of the blue, unusual, weird. This is the next level. They might not know all the personal things about you, but they know enough that sending that text is not going to be unusual. And there's a different comfort level, just so you know. of these 4 different levels, 4 different people, right? So what Deanna says someone, a level person might be in her text phone, might not be what I think a text phone level person is. I'll text anybody, I don't care, right? Like, I don't, even if they don't respond, but that's my personality. That doesn't bother me. For other people, it does, and that's fine. So defining who that is and who those people are and knowing your level of comfort is important, and we're gonna do this. Your next level is called a reach level. So these are gonna be people that you may have met briefly once, twice at most, but typically they're gonna be a connection through one of these first 2 levels, and somehow you have a connection with them, but you're not actively interacting with them. So these are important people because this is typically the level that you are trying to get to. They have a network outside of what you know generally. And these are the people that can really expand who you know and who you can get in touch with, who you can have informational interviews with. So, or these people might be those people that you want the informational interview with as well. So college acquaintances, LinkedIn connections, old work buddies are all great people to throw into this category as well. And then lastly, we have the out of reach people. People you've never met, people you might want to meet, but it might be, you know, the HR person or CEO at a company that you're trying to get a foot in the door with. It might be Elon Musk or Richard Branson. Those are 2 of mine. I'm working on it. You know, so it's okay to dream in this level and really try to figure out who would be that ultimate that if you met, that would just be the best thing in the world, right? And so putting those people down here is in this level is a great thing. So we are going to actually do this. So everyone, I think, should have a packet. On the next page, there should be 4 circles, I hope. Maybe? Mm-hmm. Yeah, cool. Before you start, though, I'm going to give you two criteria for that. Before we start, can you pass or fill out and pass the birthday sheets down to the end so I can grab them quickly, please? So while you're doing that, 2 things I want you to do in the circles is I want you to fill it out, all 4 levels. I would love for you to do at least 1 person at each level if you can, more, that'd be great. But put names, actual names of the people, not just types of people. Write down actual names at each level for you. And if the how you're connected to them, like brother, sister, whatever, you can put that down as well if you feel like. I'm going to give you a couple minutes.
Vanessa's birthday too.
What's that?
You want Vanessa's birthday?
Yes, I do actually. What's your birthday? Perfect.
It's a table, it always does it.
That's me, guys.
We live with that noise. I know, they're crazy. I know.
All right. How was that for you guys? Easy, hard, interesting? Hard? Yeah? Who said hard? Yeah? Why was it hard for you?
I'm
You don't
an
mind?
introvert.
Say again?
I'm an introvert.
You're an introvert. Okay, so we're going to talk about this in a minute. So your inner circle, did you put down anybody down for your inner circle?
Yes.
Okay, right. So introverts are going to be better at having a few really close connections, and that's actually a benefit, and I'll explain why. Extroverts are going to have usually a wider cast net, but their relationships don't go quite as deep, right? So that's okay. I understand why maybe even the text phone level might not be as easy to put some names down. Who can share one or two people they put down and how they're connected to them and at what level? Yeah. We'll go here first. Yeah.
We're both like, oh, good. I like the text phone level, even though I don't text a lot.
Yeah.
I think there's lots of ways you can just reach out to someone quickly. I put Mark, Susan, Dick, and Chidi because I was at Bible study last night, and there are 4 different people, all different age groups, and all have worked in different professions, and I've pretty much known them my whole life.
Yeah. And so they're in your text phone circle.
Yeah.
So you have the numbers, you could easily text them, and
Yeah.
Yep, cool. All
One
right.
of them's old, and they accidentally FaceTimed me, and they thought it was pretty cool.
And they learned something new. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
exactly.
All right, Frank.
Going inside out, I put my cousin Tony, who I talk to all the time,
Yeah.
and Jamie, who is an HR manager at a company I used to work at. We still keep in touch.
Cool.
And Lori, who's a safety manager, safety at a
Yep.
company. And I run into her from time to time. And then I put down Ed, who I went to high school and college with, who's the CEO.
Okay. Excellent. That's great. So you can start to see how your circle can and will expand, right? As you start to talk to your inner circle, they might have people that you could reach out to, right? They might go from inner to reach, right? Or it might go inner to text phone. So as you start to talk to these people and reach out to them, they can suggest opportunities for you as well. So the other thing I'm gonna draw for you is a little bit of a diagram, right? So we're gonna talk a little bit more about this, but when you're looking to actually reach out to someone, right? This might be the person that you're looking to talk to. They're gonna have all sorts of connections, right? So this level might still be out of reach for you, right? I'm going to draw sideways, right? These people might be out of reach for you still, but all of these people are going to have just as many opportunities or connections to them. So you can actually start to create STLP, whatever, right? You can actually start to create a map if you write it down based on your circles. Right there, you can start to create a map of actually how to get to people that you want to talk to, right? So this might be someone that's actually in my reach circle, or they might be in my text phone circle. And I can actually identify how I'm getting from myself, right? I'm going to text this person, start a conversation, might actually ask about this person here, say, hey, how do you know person P? I saw you are connected with them on LinkedIn or whatever. So then this, oh yeah, I've known person P since I was a little kid, whatever. We used to play together in the playground. Awesome. So then you can actually talk to that person, start a relationship, and then once you're comfortable enough here, they might actually get you to that end goal that you're looking for. Again, building that credibility at each level is going to still be important, and doing that creatively, I would say. How many people in here know if you're an introvert or an extrovert? I know one.
I'm an introvert.
Introvert? Sure. Extrovert? I don't know if you can tell. Right? For those of you that don't know, or even if you do, there's 6 questions I'd like you to answer and score real quick on your preferences. What's that? Oh, 7. Oh, good. That's good because the math works out that way, actually. So that's better. Thank you.
That's mature.
I think most people are finishing up. So there's two big pieces with understanding if you're an introvert or extrovert. First is just knowing which side of the spectrum you live on is going to help you in how you reach out and how you actually go about networking, right? As I was talking, I didn't get your name, I'm sorry, my introverted friend. Javon, thank you. As I was speaking with Javon about, there are special or different ways that introverts go about networking versus extroverts. And one is not right or wrong, better or worse. It's just understanding that will allow you to take that path. A lot of introverts think they have to try to be extroverted to network, and that's just not true. You will not be comfortable, and it will look awkward if you try. The second thing is, being an introvert or extrovert isn't one or the other, it's at scale, right? And this has been studied widely. These are just 7 questions. You could take a 100-question quiz if you really wanted to get a better understanding. This is just a snapshot. But if you're closer to the 7 range, you're probably more of an extrovert. If you're closer to 14, you're probably more of an introvert. Again, if you lie in the middle, that's great. You have tendencies of both. And you can, whatever you're feeling that day, you can go one way or the other, right? I am like a 6 on this scale. So, does anybody know Myers-Briggs? That scale, right? So, what's that? Yeah, exactly. So, they actually score percentage-wise, whether you're introverted or extroverted. Was in college, still am a 99% extrovert. It's crazy.
What are you? E-N?
E-N-T-J.
Likewise.
Yep.
Oh, no, am I an F or a T?
Yeah.
I think I'm an F.
Pretty close.
If you've never done
I am
it,
very
there's some free online.
A few of us.
Yeah, do you guys? I actually don't know of any off the top of my head, but there's some free online.
There is one.
Yeah,
There's a
quizzes
really
to
good
do.
one.
They're robust, and they'll actually tell you a lot about yourself if you don't know. As an extrovert, I didn't know because I'm not introspective. Right? Introverts tend to be much more introspective. They're thoughtful people. They think about how they're interacting before they do it. But the biggest thing that a lot of people don't know is actually this first one right up here. And this is actually the core definition of an introvert versus an extrovert. If being around people, interacting with people, actually drains you, you're an introvert, or that's an introverted day for you, at least. Whereas extroverts actually get energy from being around people. So my fiance and I, she's more of an introvert, and I'm obviously an extrovert. So we have to manage who needs what on a certain day, because she'll be like, I need to sit home today. I'm like, okay. And I'm sitting there, I'm just like losing energy, right? Because we're not doing anything. And the next day I'll be like, we gotta go out with friends. She's like, okay. And we go out, and I'm like, woo, and she's like, huh. Right? So it's like, it's managing that with each other. But if you know that, right, you can then adjust and manage it for yourself as well, right? Conversely, extroverts, obviously, energized by socializing. We are very willing and open to sharing information. We talk before we think most of the time, which gets us into trouble, and just very, in general, friendly and approachable. Okay, so as we are networking, right? A lot of times when we are reaching out to someone or thinking about texting or calling someone quickly just to say hi, it's the roadblock is, well, I don't have anything to say, or I don't have anything in common, or even when we're having that informational interview, we're trying to go meet with someone, it's, I don't have anything in common, what am I actually going to talk about? So, I did this as an experiment, and it's so cool that it worked. So, how many people do you need in a room to have a 50-50 shot of having the same birthday? The answer is 23. 23 people. 23 people that have a 50-50 shot. We have 26, actually, 7 if you include me. We got 2. Right? Who, if you don't mind, whose birthday is January 27th?
Whoop, whoop.
There you go.
Nice.
Right?
Where is babies?
And then April Fool's. Who's an April Fool's birthday? 1, 2. Yeah? So in this small of a group, right? Obviously you're not going to reach out and say, oh, you know, cool, we have the same birthday. Well, maybe you will. But that just goes to show that in a small group, we all have more interests than we have birthdays. So to connect with people, I think, is a lot easier on at least one level than we all think it is. So it's having that conversation, asking questions, understanding who that person is, like we were talking about in the beginning, really trying to learn about that person, because at some point, probably within 3 or 4 questions or topics, there's going to be overlap. And I would argue maybe even within 2, right, based on the statistics we have. So getting that information, and again, being genuinely interested in what they're saying is the key to networking and really building that relationship. That's so cool that worked, by the way.
Yeah.
I had this chart of like all the stats of like how many people in the room, what our probability was, and it totally, that was awesome. Kudos to you guys being born. So
It's funny that Barb's an introvert and I'm an extrovert. She just like went like this, and I'm like, yeah.
Right? Exactly. So, all right. Oh yeah, let's talk about this texting. This texting level, I think, is really the core level. This text phone level is really the core level where you can start to expand your network as you need it. So the inner circle generally knows about you, knows what you do, knows that we're looking for an opportunity, and knows more about you. The text phone level probably doesn't know quite as much. So this is where we can really start to build and expand and then actually get to our reach and potentially our out of reach people. So when we're texting someone, it does not have to be complex. It does not have to be anything specific. These are actually 3 of the last messages I sent to real people, right? This was, I think, on Monday. You know, I have an old business partner called Fung. She's fantastic. She's an MD in Cleveland now. Actually, she works at my alma mater. And she went to med school at my alma mater. So I just said, hey, I hope you're doing great. Just a reminder that you're awesome and you inspire those around you. Something as simple as a motivational text. She texted back, I think, a day later. And she's like, oh my gosh, so fantastic to hear this. I hope you're doing well. And that was it, right? It was just a connection, because if I don't send this, we'll probably have gone another month, 2 months, 3 months, or beyond without actually talking or without her thinking about me. Right? Because she's having conversations in Cleveland that I am completely unaware of. But if she has me front of mind, there might be something that when she's having a conversation, someone says, oh man, we're looking for, you know, someone to come in and speak on networking. Oh, wait, hold on. I just spoke with Greg, right? It's front of mind is where you want to be with all these people, especially as we're searching for opportunities. You want them to know what you're doing and what you're looking for, kind of like we did at the beginning of job strategy group here. Okay. The other one was just a buddy of mine who just got a new job, and I know his start date's coming up, but I forget when. You know, when's your start date? How you feeling about it? You know, hey, how's it going? Does not have to be complex. Does not have to be anything involved. Also, Facebook is fantastic. So is LinkedIn, actually, too. Now, they'll tell you when everyone's birthday is if they put it on there. And the simplest way to maintain front of mind is just to go on, look at all the birthdays. Hey, John, happy birthday, right? And they'll get that message. They'll see your name pop up. It's not anything interactive. They're not learning about you. But again, your name's popping up. This is more the long-term game. These kinds of messages in text are great to start the conversation if you're actually looking to grow your network. Then once they get back to you, now you can actually start to say, hey, just want to let you know I'm actually I'm looking for HR opportunities, kind of in the Rochester, Buffalo area. But if you come across anybody or anything, let me know. I'd love to have a conversation with them. And they'll be like, yeah, sure, right? Like, who enjoys getting text messages? Not phone calls. Everyone hates phone calls now, right? But like,
Those ones.
yeah, these ones, right? Yeah, sure, right? Exactly, right? You enjoy getting things like this. So if you're thinking about bothering someone, a text message is not intrusive, right? They can read it on their own time. It's not like a phone call where people get nervous about it nowadays. It's just very subtle and very much there. So if you think that you're going to be bothering them or they're not going to enjoy it, you're probably, unless you know them way better and know that they would, you're probably okay sending something like this. Let's talk a little bit about LinkedIn, right? So we have the text message and text messages level. Let's talk a little bit about LinkedIn. Social media is uber powerful these days, especially for networking. This kind of chart over here is what social media allows you to do. So LinkedIn, when you are looking for jobs, looking for companies, looking for people, will show you all sorts of information. And if you have not taken the Linked Up with LinkedIn, is it?
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh my gosh, take it.
That's a good
100% take that class here.
I
Because
just tagged you, by the way.
Thank you. Definitely take it. It will teach you way more than I can in the 2 minutes I'm going to give it here. But effectively, you can start to build this graph, your networking circles, in this kind of a path and graph through LinkedIn, through Facebook, and knowing who's connected to who, right? LinkedIn's gonna, if you're gonna go on, you can search a company. Let's say you search Cater Tracks, right? You're like, oh, I'm interested in Cater Tracks, right? LinkedIn, pull up Cater Tracks. There's gonna be a button there that says employees that work at Cater Tracks or something of that nature. Click on that, and it's going to give you all the people that you're probably not connected to at that company. However, what it will tell you is all the people that they're connected to that you do know, right? So now you've got a reach or out of reach people, but you've got other people that you're connected to on LinkedIn that are probably either in your inner or text or phone circle, maybe in your reach, but if you're reaching out to them on LinkedIn, most people are pretty receptive to that. They understand what LinkedIn is used for, so you can absolutely send a message through LinkedIn, a similar type of message. Hey, it's been a while, I hope you're doing well. I see you're at RochesterWorks, but you know this person at Cater Tracks. I'm interested in learning more about it. How do you know that person? Right? And asking how they know that person is step number one. You want to know what that relationship is, because they're going to say one of two things. They're going to say, oh man, that was a random connection. I don't even remember how I knew that person. You're like, cool, no problem. What's new with you? And then if that conversation continues, great. If it doesn't, oh well, but you can at least have that conversation and potentially offer them things. The other way that's going to go is, oh man, that's my best friend from grade school. Like, he's totally awesome. You should totally meet him. Whatever. And you're like, oh cool, could you connect us through an email? And they're like, yeah, absolutely. So those are the two versions. You're probably going to need to send multiple messages to get to a company. It's not a one-shot thing. This is kind of it's a job, right? Job campaign is a job. And so you're going to have to work and kind of send a couple of messages to find someone who has a close enough connection to that company to then actually have that informational interview.
Can I ask a question?
Please.
So what if you're doing that and people aren't responding? What would you say to that? And that's what we hear the most probably is people get discouraged if people don't respond.
Absolutely. Who here has email? Right? Or has had email at a job in particular, right? Imagine what your inbox looks like. Right? Theirs probably looks exactly like that, or if not worse. So following up with people is encouraged, expected, because everyone gets busy. Everyone's lives are busy, and it's not that they don't want to help. It's not that they're shunning you. It's that they saw the message like, oh, okay, yeah, but they've moved on with the digital age and everything that we're doing, right? And our brain just continues to go. So following up a second and or third time is 100% legitimate and expected. If after the third time you don't hear something back, that's okay. That's why we have multiple connections. Work the other connections as well and keep going. Someone will eventually respond.
I was going to say a good point to that with social media. There's so many different avenues that you could take. If you've contacted someone originally through LinkedIn, stick with that.
Mhm.
Or when they do connect with you on something, stick with that. Because what's hard is when someone hits you here, then there, and you're
Yep.
like, okay.
Yep.
Like, I want to talk to you, but like, where are we going to keep this conversation?
They're almost trying too hard,
Yeah.
right? They're slamming. So I agree with that. You know, unless somehow you find out that they're like off LinkedIn, right, for some reason, then maybe reach out to them a different way.
Yeah.
But try to stick with one version for one person. Absolutely. Did that kind of answer
Yeah,
the
that's
question?
good.
Yeah.
That's good. And that's so true because I have a friend that he'll say, I can't remember where we had this conversation. Was it on email? Was it a text message?
Yeah,
was it
so-
through
Mhm.
Facebook?
Yeah, people are inundated with information these days, just like you are. It's just kind of put yourself in their shoes, right? If someone was reaching out to you, right, what would happen if they reached out again, right? With all the, you know, you forgot or all the information that you're getting, how would that actually look to you? All right, so we've done our networking, we've texted, we've phoned, we've grown our network, we've reached out via LinkedIn. And now, actually, we are offering to help someone else. We are going to actually make a connection because Jimmy said that he loves kite surfing, and one of my good friends actually just called me yesterday too. Funnily enough, he got into kite surfing a year and a half ago and just went crazy with it. Has a dry suit. I would love to put them in touch so they could talk about kite surfing. How do we write that email? Well, there is a formula for it if you want to use it. This is not necessary. This is just what I have found good success with. And you can obviously please put your personality into it as you learn and grow. But writing an introduction email. First part, greet the person number one, right? Then you're going to intro person number two by name, full name, right? Give the reason why you're introducing them. Okay? Hi. Jimmy, you got to meet Adam. Adam started kite surfing a year and a half ago and went from, you know, the trainer kite all the way to the smallest kite that I think exists within about a year. And he has a dry suit now and he's crazy. He kite surfs in winter. You guys should talk because he's awesome. That's to say something about the person you know, to show you know them, and then put something personal. Put something great. Put something personal in. If you feel it's right? So sometimes that might look like, you know, you're referring back to person one. Hey Jimmy, it was great seeing you the other day at the soccer event, whatever. Next part of the email, same email. Greeting the person number two. Hey Adam, I want you to meet Jimmy, Jimmy Pashalides. Give the reason you are introducing them and why. Jimmy has been kite surfing, I think, for 15 years probably, or longer, and he actually has a class that I think you would be interested in because it really takes jumping off of the water to a new level. And you know, so I'm explaining why the first person should care. And again, put something oh, that's personal, good, cool. Put something personal in there if you can. The last part of this email, tell them they are welcome to start discussing without you. They can move you to the BCC line, but please always feel free to contact me if you need anything. This is important because one, you don't want 80 emails between them, or maybe you do, I don't know. And number two, you're saying, please feel free to reach back out or include me if you need me. Okay? And then sign it.
I
Yes?
just had a question about, so obviously you're sending it to person one. Do you put the contact information for person two just in the body of the email, or do you include them on the CC, or does it depend?
So you're including both of them in the two line.
Okay.
Yep, both of them are going to be in the two line, and they should understand that that's their contact and how they should reach out. Unless when you talk to person one or whomever, you're like, please give me my cell phone number.
Okay.
Then go ahead and include it in the body, but you put them both in the two line.
Great.
Absolutely. So, example, right? I think you have this, so I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but this is an actual email that I sent. The names were changed because of certain reasons, but this is an actual email that I sent. I got contacted by Richard, actually through another contact, So I was actually out of reach for him at the moment, but he got to me. He asked a very legitimate question. In the startup world, we're all usually very willing to help each other, and I was like, yeah, absolutely. So I couldn't help him, but I knew someone who could. So I wanted to introduce him to a PhD at University of Rochester Medical Center, which is where he's looking to start his company. So you do the introduction, and then I said, hey, I did not use a formality here, right? This doesn't say Dr. Amanda Wolf, because I know her well enough, I can actually do this. So this is also something to take note of if you're being introduced. Note the actual salutation for the person you're being introduced to. Hi is very informal, and obviously I did not say Dr. Wolf or Dr. Amanda or anything of that nature. So the person that's introducing me, in this case, I was doing the introduction, I know her very well, so I start to glean some information about what that connection actually is, right? Same thing, you should follow those guidelines when you're doing the introduction, right? And really feel, how do you know these two people and what would the introduction look like, okay? So, I'll let you take it from here. Please feel free to leave me out of the conversation, and if there's anything either of you need, always feel free, please, to reach out. And then I sign with my signature red eye, because I work way too much and people started nicknaming me Red Eye. So, wah, wah. Yeah, I know.
Is that a coffee order that you sometimes grab, a red eye?
I never have. There's way too much caffeine in me. And my gift to the world is that I do not over caffeinate.
Yeah, I can relate.
Because that would be bad for everyone. So,
it could be good branding.
Yeah,
The
what's
red
that?
eye. Could be good branding. The red eye is
It
your
is.
drink.
That actually is part of my branding. So every email I send, I actually put that italicized red eye in it. You do not have to do anything like that. It does not matter. That's just my thing. And I have yet to see actually it work beyond people saying, what the heck is that? So maybe it is working. I don't know. All right, so you just got introduced to someone. How do you respond? Very similarly, there is a format if you would like to use it. You should always try to be the first person to respond. It shows eagerness, it shows opportunity, it shows that you didn't put it to the side. You're actually interested in this introduction and meeting this person. So, thank the person who introduced you, greet the other person and let them know that you're excited to meet them and potentially why you're excited to meet them. That's always good, so they have context of who you are and what you're actually interested in talking about. Give dates. Don't just say, I'd love to meet with you. That leaves it way too open-ended. Try to give dates, right? I'd love to meet with you in the next week or two. Or I'd love to meet with you sometime on Friday I don't know what it is, 10th, 11th, 12th?
The
Right?
11th, I think.
Yeah?
Is it?
Friday the 11th.
It is, yes.
Or next week, Tuesday, after work, right? Give them specific dates, because then they have something to actually respond to. It triggers the brain differently when you have specific dates. And then sign it. Make it short and sweet. Your response does not have to be a diatribe about why you're interested and what you're looking at and all that. You'll get to that when you actually meet them. If you put more information than is needed in this, the likelihood that it goes unread or pushed to the side, because they have to process all that information, is much higher. Short and sweet, dates, done. Okay? All right, so here's an example response. Thanks, Greg. Oh, this is actually Richard's response. So this is following the same one, right? Thanks, Greg. I appreciate the kind words. I look forward to seeing you at the tech meetup next Thursday, right? So he thanked me, and then he also made something personal, right, back to me. So not only do I feel appreciated that he's excited to meet me, but the person that he got introduced to knows that we do have that connection. I'll move you to the BCC line. It's courteous just to let everyone know that I'm going to bow out of this conversation, right, as the introducer. Yeah, that's a word. Right? Next, salutation. Hi, Dr. Wolf. Notice that it's different. He did use an informal salutation, but he's formally addressing her. He does not know her the same way I do. The only reason that was to take note of that informality is so that he knows my interaction with her. He does not have that relationship yet, right? So make sure that you are addressing them as appropriate. Short and sweet. Pleased to meet you. This is very briefly what I'm looking to talk about. Are you available next week, Wednesday or Thursday, for a quick phone call in this case, because he's out of town. So he wants a meeting. Thanks. And then his name. That's it. That's all you need. So this gives Dr. Wolf, a very succinct understanding of what the phone call would be about and when it might happen. I'll go back. Questions on that? Thoughts, comments, queries, inquiries, musings? Yes.
I would think he should put his last name and also his phone number.
That's a solid point. Yep. Last name would be great if it's not, wasn't already stated somewhere probably. So 100%, you're exactly right. Last name would be great. And because it's a phone call, his phone number would be ideal. You're exactly right.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I'm just wondering if this were on LinkedIn, let's say this conversation. I have at times done the @ with the person's name. Do they know when you do that? Or is that okay, especially if you know both of them and you think they both get along well? I've done it a couple times, but I'm not sure if that's protocol. I'm not sure if that's frowned upon. I don't actually know.
I'm not sure I understand the...
Like if I message you,
Yep,
and I
in
say
like a private
I
message.
want you to meet Vanessa, yeah.
Yep.
I can actually do the @ with Vanessa's name, and it'll give you a hyperlink.
Correct.
I don't know if she sees it.
Well, it depends on, I don't know for sure, but it depends on your notification
Is that on
settings.
Facebook Messenger?
I do it on LinkedIn. I haven't done it on
LinkedIn
Facebook.
you can? Oh,
Because
okay.
Facebook Messenger,
If
they
you're
do
sending-
see it.
If you're sending a private message,
They
they will
don't
not
see it?
know.
Okay.
Got it.
And would that be, then it gives you a direct link to the
Yep.
profile. That's how I might do an introduction. I'd say.
Absolutely. You can absolutely use LinkedIn that way. As long as it comes up as a link, it then gives them information about who they are and their profile. The only thing it doesn't do is connect them
Right.
to
Emma.
Emma, thank you. Emma's point. It won't actually connect them. The goal of an introduction is to actually get them connected so they can start talking. So that's fine to make someone aware of someone, right? And it's like, hey, I think this person might be good. Let me know, and then I'll introduce you.
Okay.
It's kind of a pre-step possibly, but yeah.
You know, I have just a few tips for actually executing this, because sometimes when we hear the shorter message you send, we maybe think, oh, that's easy because I don't have to think too much. Or for me, it's harder, because I'm a detail thinker. I think in detail. So don't be alarmed or shy if you have to write a couple different versions of this. Don't think that you're bad at it or that it's taking you too long. If you have to do a couple edits, that's normal. We all are used to that with our resumes. I even tell people to maybe write the message and put your email address in the to line. So maybe you can send it to yourself first, just to see how it looks on the screen, to see how it sounds. Don't be shy if that's your process at first. And then, of course, just remember to actually send it to the person. But I'm known to have maybe 5 different messages sent to myself before I interact. And sometimes to get the most personable, professional, concise message, it does have to be crafted a little bit. And that's just fine.
Such a good point. How many of us that are networkers do that? I do it all the time. I write multiple versions, send it to myself, and then decide what I'm going to say.
Yep.
So and maybe those who don't naturally network think you have to trying to doing this off the cuff. After a while, if you're comfortable with the person, sure, but you don't know how they're going to respond.
There's a great book to that point called Send. It's really fascinating actually because they did research around email and how people don't they see the send button and they don't think exactly. They don't reread their emails when you should. So it's kind of how to adjust that psychology, and before you click send, what should you do and how should you do it?
Yeah.
Write multiple versions. Don't be so eager to click send all the time. Usually things, especially in networking, aren't necessarily immediate and time boxed. You don't have to send it right away. You can wait a day possibly to actually send an introduction email or to send something. So take your time. Make sure it feels good to you. Ultimately, you can follow a format, but ultimately it has to be you, your personality, and you have to come across. Because if you send one thing and you show up or get on the phone and you're someone completely different, That's not going to be good, right? You want consistency in who you are, especially as you're job searching. You want to present your true self so that someone will match you with the right job opportunity, the right company. We all want to land, right? But the idea is to land somewhere that you love at the pay you deserve. And that's a very different path. You have to be true to yourself, right? So, good point. Any other thoughts, questions? Yeah?
Yeah, Gary, I had a quick question. I was on the receiving end of an introductory email.
Yeah.
It was several months ago, and I know that my friend who did the introduction on email, the person she was introducing to me had a lot going on. They were in a transition with their organization. They actually moved locations.
Yeah.
I was very busy with something. Neither one of us replied.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, any thoughts on, like, I want to follow through, but
Absolutely.
any thoughts on, like, maybe I don't know, funny, or just keep it short and sweet, maybe have an explanation?
What's your personality? Are you kind of a joker? Do you like to poke, poke fun?
Sometimes half the time it comes off, sometimes it doesn't. So
Right.
I'm a little reluctant to.
And an email or any written form is a lot harder.
Yeah.
You have to be very good at that. So that's also something to keep in mind when you're texting or emailing is written form that you don't get inflection, you don't get sarcasm. There's a lot. I've met very few people actually who are very good at that. This is why I suggest generally short and sweet, because then you get on the phone or you get in person and they can actually understand you. Were you going to say something, Mike?
And it's interesting. Do what's comfortable for you, Mark, but just to give credence to your ability to pull off humor, you did that in your 5 Steps LinkedIn post with respect to allergies.
Oh.
You know what I'm referring to?
Yeah.
So I think you can pull it off, but you do what's comfortable for you.
Absolutely.
I actually had this happen recently on LinkedIn, and if I can find the message, I'll give you an exemplar of what this person said. It took us a while to get in touch with each other, and it wasn't really humor based. It was just a quick nod to the fact that projects happen. And there was no apology. There doesn't really have to be an apology. Personally, for me, a personal boundary for me is I'm really working on apologizing only if the person expressed that I hurt them, or if I know I in fact hurt them. And a really great way people replace the apologies with a thank you. Oh, thank you so much for your patience while we were getting the loose ends tied up on this project. I'm so happy to reconnect with you. Something as simple as that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I was going to suggest is, they will probably feel when you reach out to them just as, oh man, yeah, okay, like I should have done that, or potentially apologetic as well. So there's no right or wrong way to reach out. They're not going to be upset. They're not going to be like, oh, geez, okay, right? And if you know what was going on with them, right, or if you know what they were involved with, you can acknowledge that as well. Hey Jimmy, I know we've both been busy. I know you were working on a really cool transition. I looked up online the new space you're in. It looks amazing. As things hopefully settle down for you, I'd love to grab a cup of coffee with you and hear all about the transition.
That is actually kind of the tact I was thinking, going through in my mind.
Yep.
Thank you for
There you go.
Absolutely.
confirming that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Sure thing.
All right. I'm going to take a travel back here into my time at Job Strategy Group in 5 Steps. If no one has talked to you yet about thank you notes, I'm going to do it. We actually had a guest speaker in Job Strategy Group come in when I was here.
She'll be so happy to know you referenced it.
Absolutely, she was fantastic, and her entire session workshop was on thank you notes. Even before that, I was, and now even more so, I am a huge proponent of thank you notes. So, no matter what level someone offers you an opportunity, whether it's just simple introduction email or puts you in touch with someone, it can be as simple as I don't know, they gave you a shout out on Facebook. I don't care what level you want to reach for your thank you notes, but my suggestions are always send thank you notes and send physical thank you notes. The world is so digital nowadays that when you actually receive something in the mail, it's a wonderful feeling, and you actually take note of it mentally way more and longer than receiving just a thank you email. So, short story, when I was applying for jobs, I sent thank you notes to anybody that I either had a phone call with or met with in person. I would make a point at the end of a phone call, or if I was meeting with them in person, and say, hey, is there a place that I'd be able to send, a thank you note if I didn't already know the physical location or address, because I was doing a lot of remote, interviewing with a lot of remote people. Is there a place I could send a thank you note? I really just want to say thanks for the time you took today. That's an okay thing to ask. I sent thank you notes to everybody. The job that I'm at now, I had a gauntlet interview. I had 8 interviews in one day with everyone from the COO down to my supervisor, and it was crazy. I had like a practical session. It was nuts. However, the point of saying that is I sent a thank you note to every single one of them, and the COO, the VP of engineering, the CTO, my supervisor, all still have my thank you note on their little credenza in their offices. Those things matter to people, right? And that's how they're going to remember you. So not only with your job campaign, but outside in terms of networking, these are key, important things to do. I can't really say enough about it. The other thing is there's a process that I use once a week. I have a dedicated day where I sit down, think about the previous week, and think about all the places and people I need to send a thank you note to, and I write them, I address them, I stamp them, and they go in the mail the next morning. It's dedicated time, it's scheduled out on my schedule for that. So it's important stuff to do. I have thank you notes at the ready. I've got a stack of like 100. They're all the same because it's fine, right? They're going generally to different people. I've got a book of stamps, so I don't have to run out and think about it. And those are just kind of how I operate. If you have a different process, great. Use that, but it's a place at least to get you started with that. I'm going to circle back with the thank you notes as well, right? This is if somebody does something for you. Remember, the key to networking is really to do things for other people, right? You really want to give them the opportunities, connect people in your network, connect them with people in your network, and that is really how you start to benefit. And then hopefully you get a thank you note or a lot of thank you notes, right? And then you'll start to see how appreciative people are of what you're doing for them. Did I skip one? I did. ABN, this is my little acronym because everyone loves acronyms and they're all over the place. ABN, always be networking. So no matter what you're doing, where you are, who you're with, one-on-one networking for introverts is key. People, introverts do that one-on-one interaction. That's why getting to the point where you can have that coffee or that adult beverage, whatever your preference is key for introverts. Extroverts, again, cast that wider net. And that's fine. So meeting lots of people and having those opportunities. But ultimately, extroverts, you want to get to that point of having that one-on-one conversation as well, because that's where someone's going to learn about you. So be that lifelong networker. Keep learning and growing about networking and all sorts of things in your industry as well. This one, again, I can't say enough about that. The more you learn, the more opportunities you will have. And the more you learn, the more you can connect with people, right? I know a little bit about a lot of stuff, and it's really weird how often people are like, how do you know that? I'm like, I don't know, I just heard it somewhere. But it's because I'm always learning, right? Just always be thinking and having fun at what you do, because if you're not having fun, people will know, right? And people don't like to be around people who aren't having fun. So keep your mindset positive. One way, if you guys want to connect with me, I actually put out videos on Instagram and Facebook about networking and other topics as well. So if you want to keep learning about it, feel free to watch me there. It's a 60-second video is all it is. So because everyone has way too much to do in their lives. So I call it Gerwin in 60 seconds. There's your red eye again. And feel free to watch those. It's a pretty short, really, I keep it to 60 seconds every time. If you have questions, thoughts, you want to connect with me, especially with people that I offered things to, please feel free to connect with me on any of these, and enjoy the process. Ask questions and have fun, guys.
You always
Thank you.
have to.
Awesome.